Namaskar everybody and welcome to 23rd day of Dhanurmasa Satsanga. Lakshmeenatha Samarambham Nathayamuna Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yo Nityamachyutapadambuja Yukma Rugma Vyamohatastaditarani Trinayamene Asmadgurur Bhagavatosya Dayaika Sindhoho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadye आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम् यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारी परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् पूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम् वेदवेद्ये परे पुंसि जाते दशरथात्मजे वेदप्राचेत सादासीत् साक्षात् रामायणात्मना. So with prayers at the lotus feet of Prabhu Sri Ramchandra and Acharya, let us take up our topic for today. So yesterday we saw how Bharata begged Rama to return back to Ayodhya and become the king, but Rama refused. So Bharata returned with the padukas of Lord Rama and he installed those padukas and he began ruling Ayodhya from this place called Nandigram. So now that part is going on. Here in the meantime, Rama decides that now everybody knows that they are in Chitrakuta. So if they continue to stay there, it is possible that people will keep coming again and again. So he decides that let us not stay here in Chitrakuta anymore. Let us go further on. So they move further ahead and then they reach the ashrama of Atri Rishi and his Patni Anasuya Devi. So when they reach there, they are this great sage, and we know Anasuya, she is the great Pativrata. So they are very happy to see Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana. So Atri Rishi introduces his wife, saying that she is a great Pativrata and she always follows the path of Dharma. And one time there was some great drought and famine there. And she, with her power, how did she get that power? Because she was a great Pativrata. She created some many vegetables. She made the Ganga herself to come and flow in that area. And that is what we know as the Mandakini Nadi there. So, like this, Rama spends time discussing things with Atri Rishi, getting some knowledge from him. And Sita is asked to go and talk to Ansuya Devi. So that Devi talks to her and she instructs Sita and she says that these are the particular qualities of a good wife. I am very happy to see that although your husband has had a tough time, you are supporting him and you are following him in that. So that is what is important quality for a good wife, and so on. Then also she asks about how was your wedding. So actually in Valmiki Ramayana, the wedding of Rama and Sita is not described in great detail at the time when it happened. But here in this place, Sita narrates to Anasuya in very great detail about how that wedding took place and all that. And seeing all the gunas of Sita, Ansuya is very happy with her and she gives her certain things. She gives her a garland. She gives her a dress, an apparel, something, a cloth to wear. And she gives her some jewels. Then she gives her some kind of a body cream to apply, which is having a good fragrance. And she tells that these are not ordinary things, they are divine in nature. So no matter what happens, they will never fade away. They will never get spoiled. So they will always remain fresh like this only. And that is how much later this comes into use for Sita. We will see that later. But these gifts are given to her by that Ansuya Devi. Then, after offering their respects to this, Rishi couple, then Rama, Sita, Lakshmana, they move further and they enter into what is called as the Dandaka forest. We know it as Dandaka Aranya. Aranya means forest. So that Dandaka forest they enter into. Now, as soon as they enter into that forest, one very fierce demon called Virada appears and he grabs hold of Sita with one hand and takes her and says, I am going to take away. This is such a beautiful woman. I am going to take her away. And he pulls her and goes. Seeing this, Rama and Lakshmana, they fight against him very much. And at that time, what this Virada does is, because he wants to counter these people, he places Sita a little away so that she is not in that area where the fight is going on. He keeps her on the ground somewhere far away. And Rama and Lakshmana are fighting against him. So whatever they do, they are not able to kill him. Then finally, what they decide is that both of them together, they cut off the arms and the legs of this Virada. And then Rama tells Lakshmana, he says, you please quickly dig one very big pit. We will bury this demon in that pit, and from that we will kill him. So when Lakshmana is digging the pit, Rama has placed his leg on the neck of this Virada. He's fallen to the ground. He has no hands and legs, but he is not dead. And in order to make sure that he dies, they want to bury him inside the pit. So Rama is standing with his foot on the neck of this Virada. At that moment, with the touch of the holy feet of Rama, this Virada, he suddenly gets enlightenment. And he says, oh, you are Rama. You are the great son of Dashratha. You are the Lord himself. You have come to deliver me from the curse which I had got. So what had happened was that this Virada was actually a Gandharva called Tumburu. And when he was in Swarga, he had been fooling around with the Apsara Rambha, and he had not done whatever duty was assigned to him by Kubera. So Kubera got very angry and cursed him that you will become a demon on earth. And then because this Tumburu begged Kubera and said, please tell me what will release me from that curse. How can I be there indefinitely like that? So then Kubera had told him that after so many multiple years and yugas, then Rama will come. The Lord himself will incarnate as Rama, the son of Dashratha. And when he comes and gets into a fight with you, then you will get delivered from this curse. So now Virada recognizes that this Rama is the one who is the Supreme Lord, who has come in this avatara and whose touch is going to deliver him from that curse. So they bury him in the pit, and the minute they finish burying that Virada in the pit, they see that he takes on this form like Tumburu and he goes back to wherever is his original place. So after having completed this, they take Sita along and they walk further and they reach the ashrama of a rishi called Sharabhanga. Now, when they reach there, what happens is, as they are about to enter into the ashrama, they are a little far away. Suddenly, Rama notices that there is a heavenly chariot which has come, and somebody is getting down from that and going inside to visit the rishi. So, who was that? That was none other than Indra, who is the king of all the Devatas. So, Rama saw that, and Rama did not go there at that time. He just waited. He told Lakshmana and Sita, we will wait. That visitor who has come. He didn't tell them that it was Indra. He told them, we will just wait till that visitor comes out and then we will enter inside. So they made sure that Indra went in. He did whatever talking he had to do with the rishi, and he came out and walked away and taking care not to appear in his sight. Then Rama, Sita and Lakshmana went into the ashram of Sharabhanga Rishi. Now this rishi, actually Indra had come to tell him that it is time for you to go. You have all your austerities, all your tapas have yielded the fruit, and you have to go now. You have got liberation from this earthly planet, and you have to go to Brahmaloka. So that was what Indra had come to tell that rishi. But this rishi knew, because of his tapas, he had that power. He knew that the Lord was coming and that he would get the Lord's darshan. So he was waiting for that moment when Rama would come to his ashrama. So although Indra came and indicated that it was time to go, the rishi said, I am waiting for Rama. The minute Rama comes here, I will serve him, and after that I will come. So this rishi was waiting there. When Rama, Sita, Lakshmana come there, he is very happy. He offers them all respects. He, makes sure that they are taken care of and so on. And then they ask him that where should we go next? So he tells them that you go to the rishi Sutikshna's ashrama, and he gives them directions of how to go there. So once they proceed on that path, then the Sharabhanga rishi gets moksha. He goes from this world. Now, when Rama reaches this Sutikshna Rishi ashrama, many of the sages, see, in that area, it is like a mandala. Like there are so many different ashramas there, many different rishis are there. All of them are doing tapas, yajna and all that in that Dandakaranya forest. So many of those sages, they come there and they want to meet Rama, and they come with a request for him. They come there to beg him for help. So in the sixth sarga of the Aranyakanda, this Valmiki describes this. What do they say? Tatatvam sharanartham cha sharanyam samupastitaha Paripalayana Rama Vadhyamanan Nishacharaihi. O Rama, we have come before you. You are our Sharanya. You are our protector. We have surrendered to you. We have come to you. Why we have come? Because we want that you have to protect us. We want you to protect us from this Nishachara. Who are the Nishachara? Nishachara are those who are active at night. That means they are the Rakshasas. So you please safeguard us. Like that, they ask him. Then they continue and they say in the next shloka, Valmiki writes, Paratvattah gati veera pridhivyam na upapadyate paripalaya na sarvan rakshasebhyo nripatmajaha. Other than you, O Rama, you are so valorous. You are the one who is having all the virya. Other than you, there is no one else who can protect us. So, O Prince, you only have to protect us from these demons. So, what we understand here is they are surrendering to Rama and saying, we have no other alternative. You have to only protect us. Now, hearing this, the Acharyas say Rama is very saddened because he says that I, being a representative of Dasharath Raja and I am belonging to the Kshatriya category, I should have only come and taken care of this trouble for you before. But at least I didn't know, I did not come here before. But now that I have come here and you are telling me, you should not be begging me like this. You should not be requesting me. You command me and I am at your service. So I will come. I have come now. I will definitely do what you are asking me to do and I will destroy these Rakshasas who are troubling you. So from this we come to know that what we said yesterday, that Rama came to the forest for Vanavasa because he gave his word to his father who had given the promise to Kaikeyi. That is only a nimitta, that is only a means. But what is the purpose of this Rama Avatara? To destroy the Rakshasas. So that is why he has come like this. Okay, so today we have talked about how they met Atri Rishi and Ansuya Devi. Then we have talked about killing of Virada. And we have talked about how they met Sharabhanga Rishi and then they came to this Sutikshna and they got these rishis came and did Sharanagati to them. Okay, what are the things that we can learn from this now? Now, in that conversation between Ansuya Devi and Sita, right, there are a lot of tips which are given how a married couple should conduct their life, how the wife should support the husband, like irrespective of whether the husband is in good times or bad times, whether he is doing the right thing or he is going on the not so righteous path, but the wife should not give up that husband. She should always stick by him, she should support him, and she should try to bring him to the path of dharma if he is not following it. What are all the duties of the wife with respect to the husband? All this is discussed in that conversation. Maybe some other time, if we have time, we will discuss those points in detail. Okay, one more thing here the Acharyas explain is that this Devi called Anasuya, what does that mean? What is the meaning of that name? Asuya means jealousy. So Anasuya means someone without jealousy. That is the superficial meaning. However, the Acharyas say that the deeper meaning is that not only that this person does not have jealousy, but somebody who is so noble, somebody who is so superior, so great that nobody can become jealous of her. What do we mean by this? Now, many times we have noticed that people who are similar to us, like either in age or in status or whom we know, if they are having some good thing, then sometimes we feel jealous of them. And why we feel that? Because we are almost at the same level. But suppose I say myself, if I compare myself and I say somebody like, say, Sudha Murthy. Now she is so far ahead of me, right? So then I will not think of being jealous of Sudha Murthy, isn't it? Similarly, I will not say that I will be jealous of Prime Minister Modi because they are so much beyond my level. But somebody who is just like me, I may be jealous of them. So, what is the meaning of Anasuya? The Acharyas tell that somebody who is so high that no one can become jealous of her. She is so noble that she is so superior to everybody else. Now, when they explain this concept, the Acharyas also tell what is the meaning of this Asuya. Normally, we think that jealousy means thinking that what somebody else is having, oh, they are having it, I also want it. That kind of feeling we attribute, we say jealousy. But in reality, that thing is more like envy, that we are envious. Oh, they are having all those things, I don't have it. That kind of feeling is envy. It is not jealousy. What the Acharyas describe as jealousy is, what is Asuya? Some person is there and they have some good qualities, but to me, those good qualities are the ones with which I find fault, then that means I am jealous. Like, for example, let us say that I am the kind of person who is not punctual, or I'm the kind of person who does not do things on time. Okay, so when I see somebody who is punctual, or I say see them doing things systematically right from the very beginning, I will say, oh, they are very slow workers. That's why they are doing right from the beginning. Look at me, I am so quick. That's why I am doing everything last minute. So what I have done, actually, that punctuality and being systematic is a good quality in that person. But I have converted that into a bad thing. I am seeing fault in that. I am saying they are so slow. That's why they are doing in advance. That is why they are being systematic. They can't do in a hurry. That's why they are like that. So what is a good quality in somebody, I find fault with that. That is the quality of Asuya. And that is the quality which Anasuya did not have. Similarly, she is so superior that nobody else can find any fault with her. That is the significance of this Anasuya. Of course, we know the story also. I am sure everybody has heard that story of how once the three gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, were instigated by their respective devis to go and, they wanted to test the Pativratya of this Anasuya. So those three deities came there. And she said, okay, what they came in the form of rishis. So she asked them, what do you want? What can I serve you? So they said that we want you to serve us food, taking off all your clothes in naked condition. So she was surprised at what kind of request is this. So anyway, but she has to do Atiti Satkara, isn't it? She has Atiti Devo Bhava. She has to serve them. So what she had done at that time, with the power of her Pativratya, what she did was she sprinkled holy water on those and made them into small babies who are 5, 6 months old. So then she fulfilled that desire, that she fed them when she was without clothes. So that did not make any damage to her Pativratya. So like that, she and those three children together merged, and that is whom we know as the deity called Dattatreya. So like this, Anasuya is such a great Devi, and there are a lot of things which we can learn from her also. Some other time we will discuss about her in some other satsang probably. Okay. Then the event of this Virada being killed. Now, you remember I said that Virada kept Sita away when he was fighting Rama and Lakshmana. So here again the Acharyas explain that Sita, we already said, Sita represents Mahalakshmi Devi. So the karuna of the Devi is so much that if she is there next to Rama, she will not allow Rama to kill and do samhara of anybody. That is her karuna, that is her compassion. That is why, indirectly, to avoid that happening, this Virada, he caught hold of Sita, but then while fighting Rama and Lakshmana, he placed her at a distance far away so that she was not able to stand next to Rama and say, don't kill. That is the role. So always, that is why when we pray to the Lord with Devi next to him. In the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, that is why a lot of significance is there for Devi. In fact, as we will see later in the Ramayana also, if somebody wants only the Lord without Devi, then they get into severe trouble. Or if they want only Devi without the Lord, they also get into serious trouble. We will see that later and discuss about that. But for now, we understood that it was important that Sita should be away at the time when Virada and Rama were fighting, so that Virada would get killed. And why Virada had to be killed? Because he had to get delivered from that shapa, that curse which he had got. So this is what Acharyas explained for that point. Another thing, Rama did not reveal his presence to Indra. Why was that? Because Rama, in this avatara, the Lord had decided that he is going to be like a human being, like a normal, ordinary human being. So when that is the case, if he speaks to Indra and recognizes that it is Indra, then it will be what you say, broadcasted to everybody. Everyone will come to know that Rama is not actually an ordinary human being, isn't it? Now, if that news reaches Ravana, then what was Ravana's boon that he had taken from Brahma? That he would not be killed by any celestial being or any of the gods, only by a human being. He didn't ask for protection from human beings. So that is why Lord took Avatara as a human being. That is why, in order to maintain the sanctity of that Avatara, Rama did not show his presence to Indra. Then another factor that is explained here. They went to Sharabanga Rishi. Now, after Sharabanga Rishi took their darshan, we told that Sharabanga Rishi got moksha. He went, he departed. So that ashram was empty, isn't it? Then why did these people not stay there only? Why did they go further towards Sutikshna Rishi's ashrama? Because every rishi whom they have passed by, who has directed them ahead, has been guiding them further and further so that they reach the area which is frequented by the Rakshasas. Because all the rishis, they are jnanis, they are tapasvis. They know the real purpose of this Rama avatara. So they know that Rama has come, and the reason why he has come into Vanavasa also is to kill the Rakshasas. So they are directing Rama to go further and further southwards so that finally he will reach the place where all the Rakshasas are and they can be destroyed. Okay. Now, when we said that the Dandakaranya rishis come and they beg for protection from Rama, this is the fifth instance of Sharanagati in Ramayana. And as we know, this Sharanagati also has all the Lakshanas. The Sharanya is having all the Lakshanas, the Sharanagatas are having all the Lakshanas, and it is also the Lord's will. He has come for this very purpose. So, this Sharanagati of the sages of Dandakaranya is going to definitely fructify. Now, here, when Rama told them, they came and begged him for protection. But Rama said, you have to command me, not request. So here again, Acharyas say that Rama's quality, the Lord's quality, that he is Bhakta Paradhina. He is totally, like surrendered to his bhaktas. That quality of the Lord is shown when he says that you have to command me. I am here to obey your command, not your request. There's another thing which is told here. It does not appear in the Valmiki Ramayana or anything, but our acharyas tell that when these rishis, actually one batch of rishis came there to ask Rama for protection from the Rakshasas. So when they came with that petition that they want to request him for help, but when they came there and they saw the beautiful form of Rama, they forgot all that. And the only thing that was there in all these rishis' minds, see, these rishis are tapasvis. They are people who've been performing austerities from ages together, and they have so much tapobala. And yet, looking at the beautiful form of Rama, they were so carried away that they had this strong desire that they want to hug Rama. They want to be embraced by Rama. They want to embrace him. That was the sentiment his beautiful form evoked in their mind. So our acharyas say they asked him that. They said, "Oh Rama," they didn't ask anything about Rakshasas at first. They said, "Oh Rama, we want you to we want please grant us one wish. We want to embrace you and we want you to hold us in your arms, and we want that from you," they said. At that time, Rama is said to have told them that this avatara, when I have come as Rama, it is only for Sita. That alinganam, that embrace, is only for Sita, and in an exceptional case for Hanuman. But it is not for anybody else. However, since you have made this request and you have this desire, you all come as gopis and gopas in my next avatara. You come to Vrindavana. There, when I take avatara as Krishna, I will fulfill this desire of yours. So that is why our acharyas say that all those gopis, gopas, all that rasa lila, everything in the Krishna avatara has a very deeper meaning to it. All these Dandakaranya rishis who had the strong desire to hug the Lord, to embrace the Lord, to be in his embrace, that, and when we say that, it is not that physical wanting, isn't it? It is more the desire for spiritual union with the Lord. So that is what these rishis were expressing. And that is why Rama told them that you come in the next avatara. And these very rishis took avatara in the Krishna avatara. The Lord came as Krishna, and these rishis came as gopikas and gopas. And there they got the loving embrace of the Lord. So this is what our acharyas explain. So we've covered many different concepts today. Let us offer Kritagnyata to the Lord and let us pray for His grace and blessings on us so that we can learn more and practice more of these things in our sadhana. Mangalam Kosalendraya Mahaniya Gunabdaye Chakravarti Tanujaya Sarvabhaumaya Mangalam वेदवेदान्तवेद्याय मेघश्यामलमूर्तये पुंसां मोहनरूपाय पुण्यश्लोकाय मङ्गलं पितृभक्ताय सततं भ्रातृभिः सह सीतया नन्दिताखिललोकाय रामभद्राय मङ्गलं श्रीमते रघुवीराय सेतूलङ्घितसिन्धवे जितराक्षसराजाय रणधीराय मङ्गलम् मङ्गलाशासनपरैर्मदाचार्यपुरोगमैः सर्वैश्च पूर्वैराचार्यैः सत्कृतायास्तु मङ्गलम्. Thank you everybody, and we will meet again tomorrow. Namaskar.